This show will give you emotional damage. I'm not even kidding. What's up, you guys? Welcome to today's video. As you can tell by the title, I'm going to be breaking down the most realistic and unrealistic scenes from Euphoria Season 2. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jess. I'm a person in long-term recovery who has been to prison. It's not a flex, I'm just used to saying it. I am also a former drug dealer, not my proudest moment, but I have lived a really crazy life, and there's a lot that is going on in the show that is like, oh my god, that's spot on, or oh my god, that's not real, or it would happen this way in real life. So that's what this video is going to be, based on my experience from the chaos that was my life. If you want to follow me on any other social media platform, TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, that's $2. It's only ever going to be $2. All of that is linked down below, as well as my vlog channel and my podcast. But without further ado, let's just get right into this today. By the way, mad spoiler alerts, which I'm sure you guessed from like the title and the thumbnail. The first character scenes that I'm going to be talking about is, of course, my favorite, Rue. She's my favorite. I relate so much to her. So I'm going to be breaking down some very realistic and then very unrealistic scenes with her character from season 2. I think one of the most realistic dynamics is how Jules does not know that Rue is slipping deeper and deeper into her addiction. I think that's very real, because addicts are so good at covering it up and like hiding like when they're struggling or when they've relapsed or whatever, and I think that's very real. There is a scene where Rue goes to this drug dealer, Laurie, and she has like this business proposition for Laurie, and she has this good plan how she is going to essentially get kids to sell drugs, and she's gonna make a bunch of money, and the people that she's using to sell the drugs, Rue has stuff on so they can't call the cops and like they want to get into colleges or whatever. And Laurie's like, that's a really good plan. I'm gonna give you, I think it was like $50,000 worth of drugs. And Rue got scared and said, why don't we start with 10? In that moment, Rue is like, that was very responsible of you, but still she has $10,000 worth of drugs. So I think, in my personal experience from being a dealer and being in that world, I think that's realistic. Maybe not necessarily like the whole, I'm gonna get my high school kid friends to sell drugs, but the idea that you go to a dealer and present a plan to this dealer and you get a front of drugs, you know, that is realistic. That actually happens. I don't know how many times I was given fronts, which I don't recommend. It's not a good idea if you're also a drug addict, because then you're gonna get into debt, and guess what?
Bad things happen.
So from my experience, that scene is realistic, and she looks put together when she goes to get these drugs, and it's a very real dynamic here between dealer and person that is going to sell drugs / drug addict. We can put on nice clothes, have good intentions, look nice, and we're very convincing, and we have a good plan, and we're gonna make you all this money. Just trust me, 1000% accurate. Love that scene. Another very realistic and traumatizing and gut-wrenching scene is when Jules and Elliot go to Rue's mom's house to tell her about Rue's drug stash. This is so realistic. This shit happens. In some way in that world, if you're hiding your addiction, in some way it comes out, people find out, or people in your family or house or partner or whatever it is find your stash and they flush it. That happens. And oh my god, when you do that to an addict that is an active addiction to using, they're going to flip out. So what happens here is Rue just tortures her family, destroys her house, is in a complete fit of rage, broken down, can't believe the drugs are gone. Give me the drugs, give me the drugs. Because she's freaking out, you know, she wants her stash, she doesn't want to be sick. She also doesn't want to be in debt to Laurie. There's a lot of pressure for that. That is very, very like, right? So in this really long scene, it feels like it goes on forever. You feel those emotions. You feel Gia, Rue's little sister's emotions. You feel her mom's emotions. And Rue is just smashing down doors and trashing everything. And then she realizes that Jules and Elliot are in the next room. And in that moment, you can kind of sense it like, oh, she's embarrassed. Like, I just put on this huge thing, like I'm freaking out, smashing the house, I'm hurting my family, and they're right there. So Rue puts it together that they snitch on her, and she says, you're dead to me, you're dead to me. That is a very real emotion, because when we lose our drugs, it is like the worst thing in our life in that moment in active addiction, because that is priority one over ourselves, our family, our freedom, our life. It doesn't matter. The drugs matter, give them back to me. That whole scene was just so realistic. Also, Was Jules doing that out of the kindness of her heart to try to get Rue sober, or was Jules doing that to maybe manipulate, and was Jules maybe doing that to win? Because Jules was like hurt, so I wonder if like, there's really no explanation there, I don't think, or I didn't catch it if there was, but I think like Jules was just so hurt, so she went to her mom to hurt Rue. And it sounds like, oh, she has really good intentions, but I don't know. I don't know. Another very realistic scene is at the end of this, day where Rue doesn't have her drugs and she's sick. She's like running away from her mom, going wherever she can, and she stumbles into this house party that Cassie is having. And basically all her friends are there, and it's in like the middle of a, sick, like she is sick. Rue is really, really sick. She's in the middle of that, detoxing, and she has smashed up her house, and it's just this horrible day, right? Rue causes chaos in that household so that she can run away and get high. 1000% accurate. So in this scene, Rue tells Maddie that Cassie has been sleeping with Nate, and that just causes a whole shitstorm, and it was enough of a distraction for Rue to get away. And she runs, and the cops are chasing her because she saw the cops saw her, and she looked like shit, and the cops were like, "Are you okay?" And then she just ran away. Maybe that would happen, but the whole causing chaos to run out the door so that you can go get high, 1000%. Now in that moment, Rue did not choose to go to Fez, she chose to go to Laurie, pouring sweat, detoxing with a little bit of money and jewelry. Well, she goes to Laurie, who she owes all this money to, and she says, like, "This is what I have right now. I'm sorry, please give me something because I'm sick." And Laurie is like this very calm, meek, like, "I've never been angry in my life, but also I will sell you into prostitution and kill you." Like, okay, psycho, like that's crazy, right? Totally cringe. Well, there is a scene, Laurie tells her, "I don't have anything, I wish you came earlier. I gave everything that I have out. All I have is morphine, which you have to inject." So time goes by, and Rue's getting worse and worse and worse. Then Rue's in the bathtub and Laurie's taking care of her. Would I say that that is realistic? Kind of, yeah. I think most people wouldn't want to turn you away if you're sick, but also Laurie knows that Rue owes this money and she's only giving her a little bit of leeway. But I think at the same time here, it's just another form of manipulation where Laurie is like, if she trusts me, she'll come back to me, even if she doesn't have the money, and then I'll like sell her into, prostitution or whatever it is that Laurie has to do to get her money back. I don't think Laurie has good intentions here at all, and that is confirmed to me in my mind when Laurie shoots Rue up with morphine. What gets me is there's a little detail in scenes like this in shows and movies that is so off. It's so off base, and it is that moment where Laurie is pulling the morphine into this huge ass syringe. That is just an enormous thing, and that hurts. That is not what we use. We use very small, like diabetic insulin needles, not, what? No. That is something that like, if I go to a doctor and I need a shot in like my butt or something, like a huge needle, that's always like unrealistic in movies. But it is really, really triggering when they actually show the blood going into the syringe and like, ugh, awful, totally triggering. That whole scene is so triggering because Laurie's like, "Just hold still, Rue, hold still." And she can't because she's shaking and detoxing. And then finally Laurie hits her with the morphine and she feels better. Holy crap, oh my God. Do I think that's realistic? I do. It's just they use the wrong syringe for that. What I have a hard time with is the scene where Rue finally goes home to go to treatment, like, or seek help. I don't know if that would have happened so fast, once she was feeling better. Maybe she was like, okay, I'm not sick, now I can maybe try to go home and get help. Maybe, you never know when it comes to addiction, but oh my God, the entire time that Rue is struggling, I just feel that. It is so realistic to me, and it's just so on point. There are a couple little details where I'm like, no, that's, wrong, this, wrong, but it's very close. It's very close. We see a lot of big character arcs in season 2. We see Lexi find her voice with this play that's like genius, and we see Cassie now become a villain because she's with Nate. Like, there's a lot of character development, a lot of character arches here. We see Nate snitch on his dad to get his revenge. We see Nate give Jules the DVD of Nate's dad and Jules. It kind of seems in these little moments that he's being nice, but he's kind of a piece of shit. So like, I don't know if that's realistic. So it's hard to know like, oh, is he being nice here or not? And I don't know if any of those situations are realistic because I don't have any experience with that. I just want to throw in there that I hate Nate. Okay, moving on. I want to talk about Fez. So Fez gets his revenge on Nate. He beats the shit out of him because Nate had his house raided. And like, realistic, 1000%, yes. Yes, because you snitched and you had my my freaking house raided. So like that happens. That happens. And I'm glad that Fez didn't kill him. But during that party, Fez started to talk to Lexi, and I don't know how old these people are. Like, how old is Lexi and how old is Fez? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure there was a different conversation in like season 1 between Fez and Nate. I'm pretty sure that Fez just dropped out of high school, so maybe they're like really close to the same age. Like, is this a legal thing? I don't know. Moving on. But now I have to go to that scene where Fez is about to go to this like play that Lexi's putting on, and it's happening. His friend is wearing a wire or using his phone to record a conversation to get Fez to admit to killing Mouse when we know Ash killed Mouse. Now, Ash's character arc in this season, he didn't have dialogue. Like, he was very troubled throughout this season, and you could just see it. Like, he was silent and struggling, and he's gone through a lot of trauma, and he doesn't want to lose his family. So he like protects his family at all costs. That's why he killed Mouse, which I don't think is a very realistic thing. I don't think he would have killed Mouse. I think like, yeah, you want to protect your family, but would he really kill this huge man in that moment? I don't know. Crazy. This last scene is so heartbreaking because that blonde chick, I forget her name, that was at Fez's house, she signals to Fez that he's wearing a wire or using his phone to record the conversation, right? Like, so now he knows they're listening, but Ash doesn't see that. So this dude is trying to get Fez to admit to the murder of Mouse on recording. And oh my God, Ash is like, no, must protect my family. The last thing that these cops would have heard on the recording is Fez saying to Ash, Ash, no, right? And then it just goes silent because Ash stabs him in the neck. Ah, oh my God, what the hell? So then, you know, Fez is trying to keep him as quiet as possible as he's bleeding out on the couch. Trauma, emotional damage, oh my God. And then Fez takes the phone, puts it in water, and everyone's like, they're gonna bust in the door. This is what I find so unrealistic. As soon as that went dead, as soon as it was like, Ash, no, and there's that sound, the cops would have busted in the door so fast. So they had a lot of time here, and I think that's very unrealistic. That's just my personal opinion. And as these cops are breaking down the door, they're also smashing the windows, and there's only like 5 or 6 cops on the scene. Like, what? Come on, dude. They throw a smoke grenade in there. I don't know if it's concussion. I don't think it was because they didn't make the sound. So like just smoke or whatever. I also think that's unrealistic. I think they would have came in, you know, busted on the door with the battering ram. That's real. And they would have busted in. But what's crazy here is the amount of time that they had before that actually happened. So that's kind of unrealistic. Now Fez is like, Ash, I got us. Go, get out of this house. I got us, I'll take it. Like, Fez really wants to protect Ash because he is a kid. He's a literal child. Well, Ash goes in the other room, gets all these guns, and goes in the bathtub. And like, just the imagery throughout this show is so crazy. The imagery of like, remember Cassie being in the bathroom because she's crying in the bathtub? And now we have Ash in the bathtub, and Ash was doing a selfless thing. Cassie was in the bathtub when she was being extremely fucking selfish and miserable, but still like the same imagery is there. And there's just so many little details that like intertwine to all of the things that they've seen. So now Ash is in the bathtub with guns, and like he's gonna have a shootout with these cops because he thinks he's protecting Fez. It's like Ash knows, no, if we are arrested, then we're done, right? Like, no, I have to shoot it out to protect you. So this is just so bad. The cops come in, and this is so freaking realistic when they're actually in the house and Fez has his hands up or whatever. The cops say walk backwards. That's what they do. So he's walking backwards, and Ash just starts shooting. And Fez gets shot in the side, and he gets on the ground, and the cops start shooting back. So they have this shootout for a while, right? Oh, this is what's crazy. They're having this shootout over top of Fez's head, and they're shooting into the bathroom. So finally, like, the shots stop or whatever, and Fez is like, Ash, 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 like he's trying to like make sure he's okay. One cop goes to the door, opens it, and then turns around and says he's down. That wouldn't have happened. When you're having a shootout with cops like that, they're gonna come in. As soon as they're in the room, they're trying to secure you in any way they can. They would have moved the gun out of his hand. They wouldn't have said, oh, he's down, and then turned away from the person that just had the gun. They would have done anything they can. Get the gun away from him, grab him. But in this scene, the cop turns behind him, says he's down, and that's enough time for Ash to get up and shoot this cop. And you see when he does that, he's like, I just shot a cop. And then the next thing you see, the cop has the signal on him, and you hear the gunshot, and we just assume that Ash dies. They don't show his death. throughout that exchange when the doors open in the bathroom, you don't hear the cop saying, put it down, put it down, put it down. No, it's really weird, right? Like, so I think that scene is a little unrealistic, but still it's so heartbreaking and the acting is just so good. Like, the show's so good, but I don't think it would have happened exactly like that. Like I said, I think they would have immediately came in as soon as they heard any kind of like, you hear that on a freaking recording, you hear, Ash, no, cops are coming in right that second. They're not gonna have time. They're also not gonna bust out the window. They're coming through the door to get in as soon as they can so that everyone can get in the house and secure everyone, right? So it was just a lot of like extra drama because it's a show, right? But still, something that I also think is just a little bit unrealistic is Ollie, who is Rue's sponsor. I think he's really pushy and I think he's kind of shitty. And coming into the house and making dinner, like, while that's nice, I think it's kind of pushy and unrealistic, especially when we're talking about Narcotics Anonymous. It's NA, it's anonymous. So for him to overstep that boundary, come to her house, cook dinner, like, I think that's really cringe. And like, I like Ali, but I also think he really oversteps and I think that's super unrealistic. So going back to Rue, she kind of ends that last episode with not quite making amends to everybody, but she is doing nice things. And I think throughout the entire show, there's this premise like, am I a good person? You hear them say that a lot. Like, are you a good person, Nate? No, absolutely not. Rue saying, am I a good person? Rue's mom saying, you're not a good person, Rue. There's this whole dynamic here and like this undertone of this show where everyone wants to be a good person. And I think Rue really struggles with that. Like, she wants to be a good person and the hope that she can be a good person kind of keeps her trying to be a good person. Does that make sense? Or am I like totally weird? I don't know, that's the vibe I get. So she kind of makes amends with Elliot. He sings her this like John Mayer like song for 3 minutes and they kind of, you know, are cool again. And she helps Lexi during that play by getting the crowd to chant for her. And then at the end of the play, Jules sits down next to Rue and apologizes to her and Rue kisses Jules on the forehead and walks away. I think they tied that into season 1 where Jules left Rue and this time Rue's leaving Jules, but it just feels like a more positive way. Did I mention that I love this show? I love season 2 so much more than I liked season 1. Season 1 was like hella sexual and like there's a lot of like, whoa, but season 2 was so much better. I loved season 2 and I really like the show. Let me know what scenes you thought were so realistic or unrealistic in the comment section down below. If you want to see a review of season 1 from me, I will leave it on the card up here. Be sure to smash that subscribe button before you go. But I'm gonna end today's video here. As always, I love you guys. Stay safe, stay in recovery. You are a good person. And I will see you guys in my next one.